Some people say, well, if you can't keep the whole feast, then why bother? Because you're still not keeping the feast. And to them, I use the chickens and ducks analogy. Of course, I live on a farm. I use farm analogies. If I said to my son, go to the barn and feed the chickens and the ducks, and he goes out to the barn and he looks at the barn and sees the ducks flew away. But they're somewhere on the property. You don't know where they went. But the chickens are there. But he comes back out of the barn. A few hours go by, and I ask him. This has never happened, by the way. It's a fictional story, but to illustrate a point. But I ask him. I say, "Son, did you feed the chickens and the ducks?" He says, "No." I said, "Why not?" He says, "Well, there were no ducks. I couldn't fulfill your commandment to feed the chickens and the ducks. Therefore, I didn't feed anything because there were no ducks." I say, "Well, did you feed the chickens?" And he says, "Well, no, because there were no ducks, and since there were no ducks, I could not fulfill that command exactly. It says feed chickens and ducks. That's the command. I couldn't fulfill it. Therefore, since I couldn't fulfill the command, why bother?" Also, should you do what you're able to do, which is feed the chickens? And this is what people say about the feast. Well, you can't do it all, therefore do none of it. We can't make the offering made by fire to Yahweh, but we can have a holy convocation. We can rejoice before Him 7 days. We can stay in tents or booths. There's a lot that we can do. We can rest on that day He told us to rest. There's a lot to do on this feast. And so, if a heart that yearns to be obedient to the Father, they're going to do whatever they can do, whatever they're able to do. And in the same way, I would expect my son, well, okay, there were no ducks there, but the chickens need to be, they're hungry, feed them. And he's more focused on whether he can do the whole thing. And that's kind of what people are like today toward the Heavenly Father. And so it's not and sometimes it's a real hard issue of just trying to make excuses.